one is meat. The earliest known written use of the English word meat, to mean flesh, as food, dates to the 14th century. The word arrives in a glancing mention in one of the Middle English poems, a long piece later published under the title Cleanness, an alliterative tripartite poem on the deluge, the destruction of Sodom, and the death of Belshazzar. The title is often simplified to Cleanness. The author is known to us only by their works, and so they are referred to simply as the Pearl poets, Pearl being their best-known work. The manuscript for Cleanness is handwritten in a volume that is known as Cotton Nero A10 to the conservators and researchers who work at the British Library where it is preserved. They believe the paper dates to 1380. Cleanness is a minor work. People talk much more about Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, the Arthurian tale that closes the manuscript. But it is in the middle section of Cleanness, a retelling of the story of how Abraham bargains with God for Sodom, that we read for the first time in English of meat. In the Pearl Poets' version of the story, Abraham is visited by 3 men who appear so impressive to him that he decides to greet them as if they were God himself. He asks his wife Sarah to make bread, his servant to slaughter a calf. We read a description of the impressive meal that he sets before these visitors. Through a thrifty lee theron, tho thre therua kakes, and bringes butter withal, and be they braid setes. Meta meses of milka, e merkes bitwena. See then potoga, and polment, in platter honest. It sounds simple. Bread, butter, meat, milk. But the generosity of this meal endears Abraham to God. After the meal, God is so pleased with Abraham that he reveals his intention to destroy a couple of cities off in the distance, Sodom and Gomorrah, and kill all of the people in them. Abraham expresses concern. What will God do if there are 50 righteous people in Sodom? Will he kill the good with the bad? God says no, which emboldens Abraham. He starts to bargain. He gets God down to 10 people. God promises not to destroy Sodom if 10 good people can be found. Abraham bargains no further. The conversation ends there. Why do 10 people matter but 9 don't? What about 1? We don't get an explanation for that. In the end, 10 good people can't be found and everyone is killed. The point being that meta, the food of flesh, first shows up in English in 1380 in the poetic retelling of a generous meal and a cruel and vengeful God. The spelling we know today, meat, doesn't show up until Shakespeare a couple of centuries later. The first appearance of the word meta is significant to me because I speak English. If I spoke French, I suppose I'd be more inclined to give you the first use of viande, a word that came into a similar meaning at a similar time. Or perhaps I could offer you the history of the Proto-Germanic mati, or the Old Norse mater, both of which led to the meta that became meat. Sometimes these words meant flesh as food, but sometimes they meant just food. Any kind. Words are rough tools. We use them how we want. I could go further back to when meat was not a word but a drawing, a hieroglyphic in a pyramid, a painting in a cave. But there was a beginning before all of that, too. Before humans started making up stories about God or writing things down. It is a story that we do not know now except in our imaginations. To understand this story, you have to imagine a mouth. It is a mouth much like your own. Much as yours does on any day in your own life, this mouth is eating. The mouth is chewing, breaking down a flavorful little morsel of flesh. It takes a while because the morsel is tough. When the teeth have done their work and the tongue and throat have done the swallowing, when the mouth is clear, the lips form a shape and utter a sound. That's it. That single moment is the beginning, if we must insist on a beginning. The sound has changed over the years, but we keep repeating it, saying it, killing it, eating it. It is one long, unbroken line into our past. On one side of that line, the flesh we recognize as ourselves. On the other side of that line, the flesh we know as food. 1. I began this investigation in the fall of 2011. The magazine I was working for kept their headquarters in a tall glass building in downtown Atlanta. I was covering the food scene.